less for railway project. They cause excessive time and cost overrun. Why does EPC stand for in railway construction project, engineering, procurement and construction? Whose as in India extensively used the EPC model before Indian Railway adopted it. DMRC, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. How are payments made to contractor under EPC? Lump sum payment linked to construction milestone. Which type of risk is primarily allocated to the construction in EPC? Design and construction is soil condition and weather. What is maximum for country liability for damage due to delay in EPC project? मैक्सिमम 10% आप ले सकते हैं. ठीक है. What is typical defect liability? Defect liability period specified in the EPC contract 2 years होता है. Defect liability मतलब मेंटेनेंस पीरियड 2 साल का. Which of the following is not a feature of EPC contract compared to item rate contract? Payment based on individual item measurement. What is the contract period determined in EPC period? On the based on specific project specific construction volume पे depend करता है. ठीक है. Which of the following payments are made to for early completion के लिए? SLA for award के लिए. ठीक है. What is the purpose of milestone based payment in EPC contract? B. To ensure payment is linked to stage by completion. In case of consortium of JV contract, who represent all members in EPC contract? Lead member representative. Which clause ensures EPC agreement are legally binding and enforceable? Legal opinion from contractor. Which system of measurement used for EPC contract calculation? You have the metric system. Which document has precedence in case of conflict within an EPC project? EPC agreement. What happened if the authority delays approval of design approval? क्या होगा? Contractor can proceed after specified period. Which of the following activities is included in construction under EPC project? B. Survey, investigation, design, procurement, fabrication, installation, testing, commissioning. How does EPC agreement ensure fairness in risk allocation? Risk होता है like design, soil and water are with contractor and approval and land are authority. What is the purpose of specifying technical parameter to ensure quality, safety and efficiency while allowing the design flexibility? Which clause define joint and several liability in case of consortium contractor? कौन कौन सा है? 1.5 मतलब क्या होगा? तो क्लॉज 1.5 ये तो उससे करता है. ठीक है. How are variation in project scope handled in EPC agreement? EPC bears up to 25% of contract price for contract change के लिए है. स्कोप चेंज के लिए है. हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर मॉनिटरिंग सुपरवाइजिंग EPC प्रोजेक्ट ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ अथॉरिटी? ये क्या होगा? अथॉरिटी का इंजीनियर होता है. ठीक है. अब हाउ इज टाइम ट्रीटेड इन EPC प्रोजेक्ट? क्रिटिकल एक्सटेंशन अलाउड फॉर फोर्स मेजोर और अथॉरिटी डिले. हाउ डज द EPC एग्रीमेंट बिटवीन अथॉरिटी एंड कॉन्ट्रैक्टर? ये बिल्ड पीसफुल एग्रीमेंट वो. How does the EPC agreement handle? क्या है तुम वही provided mechanism for dispute resolution. How are payment and documentation handled with bring 3 copies होता है. ठीक है. Bring 3 copies free of provide of cost or returns copies. How are ambiguity within EPC agreement resolved? A specific clause prevails over general clause. Clause prevails over schedule. ये हो जाएगा. Best clause wins. How are singular and plural references treated in EPC contract? Singular including plural and vice versa. What is the scope of project? Scope मतलब कहते हैं civil work, primarily work supplied, material supplied और sleeper, point crossing and associated components. ठीक है. अब देखो how many which signal works are included in the scope? ये could be electrical interlocking, MS DAS for track detention, BPSC configuration and absolute blocking work system. Which telecommunication provisions are part of the project? A. VoIP based control communication, IP, MLS, backbone, OFS, 6 quad members, GPS clock and PA system. Which electrical work are included in the project? Power supply, electrification, lighting arrangement for station building and staff quarters. इतना. Who supplies the main line, loop line, sleepers and rails? ये क्या होगा तुमको? B. Authority free of cost. What general obligation does the contractor have under clause 3.1? Survey, investigation, design, engineering, procurement, construction, compliance with the good. During the defect liability, who is responsible for loss and damage? ये का B. Contractor. What percentage of contract works may the contractor subcontract? ठीक है. इतना भी 70% maximum, 30% must be done directly to the contractor. What is required before subcontracting work exceeding 5% contract? Notify authority the subcontractor details and expense approval required. Are contractors from countries share land borders with India allowed? Yes, only if registered with DPIT. Who is responsible for providing visas and work permits for foreign national के लिए? Contractor हो गया. What is the minimum qualification required for contractor personnel? All personnel skilled. ये होते हैं skill. देखो skill and compliant with applicable laws and good. Who bears the risk for care of work and material for appointed date? 3.6 contractor bear rule हो जाएगा. Who is responsible for procurement of electricity, water and other service of project? Contractor होगा. Does the contractor price get adjusted for unforeseen condition? No contractor bear responsibility for unforeseen difficulties. How many authority personnel may the contractor retrain? ये होगा 6. What are the authority obligations under 4.1? Provide right of way, environment and forest clearance, GAD approval, support permits, assistance for visas and cooperation. What is the maximum aggregate damage payable by authority? 5% of contract price है. What is machinery equipment hire charges? ये होगा A. Daily rate depend on 8-hour shift inclusive of fuel and operating charges, prorated for multiple shift and no charge if power block unavailable. What is the compensation if a required power block is not provided? 1000 रुपये per day per hour not provided until compensated with an additional block with 6 hours. बोलिए. एक मिनट देखता हूँ. फोटो नहीं भेजा क्या?
नहीं सर, फोटो भेजा ना आपको.
एक मिनट. हाँ, 11 90 91. ठीक है. अगला देखो. अगला व्हाट इज कंपोजिशन इफ पावर ब्लॉक इज नॉट प्रोवाइडेड. एक और पढ़ो. नॉट अंटिल कंपनसेटेड विद एडिशनल ब्लॉक विद इन 6 weeks. Under 5.1 contractor warrants if duly organized under law and execute obligation under the agreement has authority to carry compensation right. Which clause confirms that obligation under the agreement are legally binding? 5.1c. Contractor disclosure obligation if a warranty becomes untrue is under the 5.3 में. Which article limits authority liability for error in project assessment? 6 में. The contractor responsible for which risk according to article 6 मतलब D. Site frequency, ground traffic volume. Performance security under this 5% of contract price. Maximum retention money deducted under construction 5% of contract price. If the contractor default in performance in cash, the contractor must replenish or furnish fresh performance security. Authority must release performance security within 60 days. Must release performance within 60 days of defect के बाद 60 days. Right of way include क्या होता है? तुम assess for safe execution only. Maximum percentage of core land that can remain unaccessed in appendix under clause 8.2 ये का तो 5% है. Authority liability for delay in providing ROW ये का तो damage at 0.001% contractor must maintain site free from encroachment until provisional certificate हो. ठीक. cost of special temporary ROW borne by कौन है? contractor. Mining archaeological geological find belongs to किससे डिपेंड करता है? authority से होता है. Contractor must allow access to new utility and can claim compensation for delay or damage due to new utility installation. Felling of tree cost and compensatory plantation is borne by contractor. अब ये देखो delay due to tree felling beyond contractor control ये excuse contractor from liability. System of existing obstructing utility ये किसके द्वारा आता है? Authority paid directly to authority engine. Contractor entitled to damage for delay utility shifting if delay 180 days से ज़्यादा आता है. Within how many days of the permanent days must the contractor appoint its authorized representative? 20 days में. Who heads the contractor design unit for survey and preparation of design? Design director. How many days will the authority appoint the authority engineer? 15 दिन के अंदर. What is the purpose of contractor's program submission within 30 days of appointed date? ये का project executive CPM bar chart. What is not included part 1? ये का monthly cash flow forecast ये नहीं होता इसमें. How long does the authority have to provide comment on the contractor program? ये का 21 days. Who bears the cost if the materials do not meet specification at the time of use? Contractor. Proof consultant. Proof check design and drawing है. Within how many months must the contractor submit route control chart and TOC? 3 months के. What is the penalty for delay in submitting the route control chart by contractor? Fourth में 0.001% per day. Who appoints the safety consultant? Contract proposal authority approves. How many days period to project completion date must the maintenance manual be submitted? 90 days. What is the maximum rate of damages per day for delay in achieving project milestone? 0.05%. What is the maximum selling of total damage under 10.3.2? 10% को. What is the maximum notice period for contractor to claim the time stamp for an event occurred? 15 days. How long does the authority engineer have to determine the time stamp after receiving clarification? 30 days. Who bears the cost of testing construction material and workmanship? ये होगा contractor. How often must internal quality audits be conducted? 6 महीने में होना चाहिए. What is the minimum notice period before the contractor can assume authority does not require inspection? 3 business day. Who has access to all part of the site and material for inspection of all times? ये होगा authority engineer authorized representative. Who other authority reject defective plant material design or works under the contractor? ये authority engineer. If rejected item needs retesting, who bears the additional cost incurred by the authority contractor? If the contractor entitled to extension of time after rectifying defective testing, कौन होगा? No. What action may the authority engineer instruct regarding non-compliant plant or build? ये होगा तो remove and replace or re-execute the work. If the contractor fails to follow remedial instruction, what can the authority do? Execute work through another agency, recover cost. Within how many days must the contractor respond with steps to expedite progress if milestone delivered? 15 दिन. How much when must the contractor submits all quality records before completion certificate? What is the requirement for video recording during construction? Quarterly compiled into 3 hour. Who bears the cost of preservation during suspension of work for contract attributed region? Contractor. What marks the commencement of defect liability provisional certificate? How long is the standard defect liability period? 2 years. Who bears the cost of rectifying defect notice during DLP? Contractor. Within how many days must the contractor rectify non-critical defects after notice? 15 days. Can the authority carry out defect rectification if contractor fail? Yes, at contractor plus 10. Who will effect between attributed contractor? Authority engineer. What happens if two materials replaced under DLP? 12-month warranty from replacement date. What is required for a change of scope? B. Change of scope order from authority. What is the maximum aggregate value of change of scope order? 25% contract. Who can propose the beneficial change of scope? Either contractor or authority engineer. How soon must the authority respond to a change of scope? 15 दिन के अंदर. Who appoints the authority engineer under agreement? Authority. Within how many days from the date of agreement must the authority appoint the authority engineer? 30 दिन के अंदर. ठीक है. The staff of the authority engineer must include the engineers and qualified professionals. Which of the following matters require approval within the approval of the authority before determining the vice president? Time extension and additional cost below exceeding 50 lakh. How often must the design engineer submit periodic report to the authority? Monthly. How many authorized signatory can the authority engineer designate to assign communication on his behalf? 2. If the authority engineer issue oral instruction, how many days must they confirm in writing? 2 working days. If the authority fails to confirm oral instruction within this time, what can the contractor do? Seek with written confirmation and acknowledge. Who bears the nomination cost and expense of the authority engineer? Authority होगा. If the interim, if the no authority engineer is appointed, can the designated person exercise approval process? No. What is the contract price in Article 333? No. Advance payment for mobilization equipment कितना होता है? 10% होता है. What interest can be applied on the advance payment? 4% increase होगा. Bank rate plus 4%. What is recovery of advance payment? Proportionate deduction from IPC. अब देखो, पेमेंट बाय द अथॉरिटी इंडिकेट्स ओनली रिलीज ऑफ ड्यू पेमेंट. टाइम ऑफ पेमेंट फ्रॉम सबमिशन ऑफ स्टेज पेमेंट सबमिट का 30 दिन होता है. रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट फॉर लेट पेमेंट क्या होगा? तो बैंक रेट प्लस 3%. प्राइस एडजस्टमेंट फार्मूला अप्लाइज टू किस पे? लेबर, मटेरियल, मशीनरी, फ्यूल, स्टील, रेल और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पे. स्टेज पेमेंट स्टेटमेंट मस्ट सबमिट 7 days ऑफ द मंथ. एडवांस पेमेंट इंस्टॉलमेंट है टिपिकली 2 installment of 5% ईच. अब देखो, इन केस ऑफ एन आईपीसी रिलेटेड टू मंथ, हाउ मेनी मंथ्स फ्रॉम द बेस मंथ नो प्राइस एडजस्टमेंट शैल बी एप्लीकेबल? 3 months में है. प्राइस इज पेबल ओनली इफ द स्टेज पेमेंट सबमिटेड विद इन हाउ मेनी डेज ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट माइलस्टोन और शेड्यूल कंप्लीशन डेट? 30 days में. विद इन हाउ मेनी डेज ऑफ रिसीविंग ऑफ कंप्लीशन मस्ट द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर सबमिट द फाइनल पेमेंट? 60 days. If the authority engineer does not prescribe the form of final payment system within 7 days, what should the contractor do? Submit in the any form deemed fit. What does the contractor provide to the authority upon submission of वो हो जाएगा upon submission of the final payment system to full. Within how many days must the authority engineer deliver the final payment certificate after receipt of final payment certificate discharge? 30 days. Within how many days a contractor notify the authority of additional cost due to change in law? 15 days में. Who determines the addition or reduction of the contract price due to change in law? होगा authority engineer. अब interim payment certificate can be corrected by whom? Authority engineer. Maximum bonus for early completion of the project is what percentage of contract price? ये होगा 5%. Who bears the cost of loss or damage outside insurance cover? होगा contractor. Insurance must bear a waiver for subrogation in favor of whom? Authority only. If a force majeure event continue for 60 days within, what can the party do? Terminate the agreement. Which force majeure event requires the reimbursement of all costs by the authority? Political event. Upon contract default, how long can suspension last? 90 days. During suspension, who bears the cost incurred by the authority while performing contractor? Termination of Contract default require how many days notice to make representation? 15 days. Maximum cure period for contractor default without a specific reason. 60 days. Authority default can be cured within how many days? 90 days. Contractor must maintain professional liability insurance covering at least what percent of contract price? 3%. Contractor must notify authority of insurance detail within how many days of within agreement? 15 days. Insurance certificate must not be cancelled or modified within how many days? 45 days. Who determines force majeure cost for indirect political events exceeding insurance cover? Authority. Contractor must provide weekly update during force majeure event. Minimum frequency is कितना है? Weekly. Authority is not liable for damage to contract workmanship caused except if caused by authority act or default. Proceeding from insurance claim except life or injury are applied to किस पे? Repair and removal. Force majeure event must be reported within how many days of knowing occurrence? 10 days. Termination payment or on non-political event is equal to clause 22 or 21.5 sum. Early completion bonus per day is what percent of contract price? 0.03. Suspension may be revoked within how many days after application activity? 16 days. Which of the following is considered an authority default? The authority fails to provide environment fund within 180 days from before issuing a termination notice for how many days must the contractor give the authority? 15 days में. If the authority terminates the contract due to paucity of fund, how many days after notice does the termination take effect? ये होगा C 30 days में. After termination, how many days must contractor vacate the site? ये होगा 15 दिन में. Within how many days after termination must the authority then determine the valuation of the unpaid work? ये होगा C 45 days. Termination payment for contractor default include मतलब क्या होता है? Encashment of performance security and retention money. In case of authority defaulted, first financial obligation of the performance the return performance security and retention money. Termination payment become due within how many days of contractor demand? ये होगा 30 days और paid 3%. Which of the following right survive termination? ये होगा D. Claim of damage, insurance, process, security deposit. 22.1 assignment by contractor requires क्या होगा तुमको? Prior consent in writing of authority. Which of the following can pay contractor hypothesis to lenders? ये होगा तुमको material and plant prior to incorporation in work. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इंडेमनिटी डज नॉट कवर क्या? अथॉरिटी नेग्लिजेंस एक्ट नहीं कवर करता है. नोटिस ऑफ द थर्ड पार्टी क्लेम मस्ट क्लोम नहीं करता 15 दिन में होगा. कॉन्सिलेशन नोटिस मस्ट बी सर्व नॉट लेटर देन हाउ मेनी डेज आफ्टर कंप्लीट सर्टिफिकेट? ये बी 30 दिन में. कॉन्सिलेटर मस्ट अपॉइंटेड विद इन 13 days ऑफ नोटिस हो जाएगा. एंड हाउ मेनी मेंबर्स ऑफ द डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन बोर्ड? सी 3 हो गए. 3 रिटायर्ड SAG ऑफिसर, 1 कंट्री नॉमिनी, 1 सर्टेन नॉमिनी एंड 1 प्रिसाइडिंग. DAV डिसीजन टाइमलाइन कितना है तुमको? 90 दिन में है. ठीक है. अब DAV डिसीजन नॉट चैलेंज विद वन डे कहता है तुमको ये होगा डिसीजन बिकम्स फाइनल इफ आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल आल्सो कंसिस्ट ऑफ हाउ मेनी मेंबर्स? सी मतलब 3. विदिन हाउ मेनी डेज मस्ट द आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल डिस्पाइट डिस्प्यूट विदिन 4 months के अंदर. once arbitral award is declared, can the arbitral tribunal review it? Only is permissible within arbitral and conciliatory act. Okay. If a claim for work done in the preceding 6 months is not raised in half yearly, it is क्या है तुमको? waived and excluded from arbitration हो गया. What is the rule on interest payment on arbitral award amounts before the date? See, no interest payable till ये हो जाएगा. During arbitration, what must continue? Work progress and payments as per contract. Where will the arbitral tribunal proceed? Hubli or any convenient decision consultation. Who bears the cost of arbitration? Equally by both parties. Before approaching court, dispute must go through reconciliation, DAB, outstanding arbitral dispute. If the arbitration is challenged court, what percent of arbitration must still be paid? 75% pay कर सकते हैं. Which court has excluded under the argument? Bangalore court. What happens if a party claims sovereign immunity against proceeding? ये भी waived completely. Delayed payment beyond stipulated time attracts interest at क्या है तो बैंक रेट प्लस 3%. Waiver by one party is valid only if क्या है indicating signed by authorized representative. Review approval of contract documents by authority means क्या है तो contractor remains fully liable. If a provision of agreement is held liable, what will happen? Only invalid part excluded, rest valid होगा. Does this agreement create a partnership between parties? No partnership origins. Notice under this agreement must be written in English. Who retains copyright under contractor document? ये होगा contractor. Total liability of one party to another cannot exceed ये होगा contractor price. What is accounting year? Accounting year क्या होता है? अप्रैल से मार्च. Affiliate मतलब क्या होगा? Entity controlled greater than 50% ownership. अब तो RFP मतलब request for proposal. अब देखो रिटेंशन मनी क्या होगा तो 7.5.1 में है. ठीक हो. जो फॉलोइंग डिस्क्राइब राइट ऑफ वे मतलब पोसेशन साइड फ्री फ्रॉम इंक्रीजमेंट एंड इनकम्बरेंस. RINL मतलब राष्ट्रीय इस्पात निगम लिमिटेड। सेफ्टी कंसल्टेंट ये का 10.2.1 11, ठीक है। शेड्यूल कंप्लीशन डेट ये का 10.3.1। स्कोप ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट ये कहता है क्लॉज 3.1 और 2.1 सेक्शन मतलब क्या हो गया तुमको बी, पोर्शन ऑफ रेलवे लैंड बिटवीन टू ब्लॉक स्टेशन ये होगा। स्पेसिफिकेशन एंड स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन फॉर ये शेड्यूल डी में है ये। सिंगल स्टेज पेमेंट सिस्टम कहाँ पे 70.4 में, नॉट इंक्लूडिंग टैक्सेस में क्या है कॉर्पोरेट इनकम टैक्स। ट्रैफिक ब्लॉक मतलब ब्लॉक्ड रेलवे सेक्शन बिटवीन टू सेक्शंस ऑफ फॉर वर्क TOR टर्म ऑफ रेफरेंस। WPI होलसेल प्राइस इंडेक्स हो गया। वर्क इंक्लूड मतलब क्या होगा ऑल वर्क इंक्लूड सर्वे डिजाइन प्रोक्यूरमेंट कंस्ट्रक्शन टीसी काउंटर इनकाउंटर्स डिफरेंट जियोटेक्निकल डेटा देन कैनॉट क्लेम मस्ट बी अ रिस्पॉन्स। एलिमेंट प्लान L सेक्शन ESP SIP ये क्या वेरीफाइड एंड रिविलेटेड बाय कॉन्ट्रैक्टर। Whether railway projects require environment clearance SO 1533 Gazette of 2006, which authority granted forest clearance for Bagalkot Kurchi project है DCF Bagalkot। Stage 2 forest clearance was obtained for how much forest trace ये का 0.35 kilometer। What is the project total project between R1 and 24.61। What is the design maximum train speed under the project 130 kmph with axle of 25%। design axle of 25 to what, how many potent imager bridge, one important one imager। how many minor bridge 38 minor bridge है। how many road under bridge 22 minor bridge। how many road over bridge 6 हो गया। how many level crossing gates are to be provided 5 LC gate होंगे। what is the ruling gradient proposed in this project ये होगा 1 in 150। what is the maximum permissible curvature in the alignment 1.75 होगा। what is the maximum bank height in this project 15.052। चेन इज 82.125 पे। मैक्सिमम डेप्थ ऑफ कटिंग कोई 10.981, चेन इज 64.250 पे। अब देखो व्हिच टेस्ट मैंडेटरी फॉर सॉइल बेरिंग कैपेसिटी इन जियोटेक्निकल प्लेट लो टेस्ट EV2। फॉर इंपोर्टेंट विज हाउ मेनी बोरहोल्स आर इज पर मिनिमम 1 बोरहोल पर एप्रोक्सीमेटली बोरिंग 50 मीटर पे है। बोरहोल स्पेसिंग फॉर एम्बैंकमेंट एक्सकेवेशन ट्रैक फॉर्मेशन एवरी 500 मीटर पे है। Which surface stabilize horizontal or vertical control at site transverse survey हो गया। Who carries out the initial geotechnical investigation along the alignment at bridges and other structure authority। Who bears the cost of confirmatory and additional exploratory boring होगा contractor। If strata encountered between the GAT and contractor can claim compensation, true or false? False। How many exploratory borehole are required for important bridge? 1 per pier and bitumen। exploratory borehole required for major bridge का 1 per pier 1। for a box pipe culvert manner how many boreholes required? 2 at one location। for a slab bridge minor bridge requirement का 1 borehole at bitumen। at rock cutting location borehole required at every 50 meter। अब ये तो फॉर इम्पैंकमेंट एक्सकेवेशन स्टेज एक्सप्लोरेटरी बोरहोल स्पेसिंग कितना 500 मीटर है। दी कॉस्ट ऑफ ऑल एडिशनल जियोटेक्निकल कॉस्ट पे क्या है डी वो हो गया बी डीम एक्सक्लूडिंग कॉस्ट। व्हिच टेस्ट डिटरमाइन द सॉइल बेरिंग कैपेसिटी एज पर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट प्लेट लोबो हु रिव्यू द जियोटेक्निकल इंटरप्रेटर सबमिटेड बाय द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अथॉरिटी इंजीनियर। वैलिडेशन ऑफ अलाइनमेंट डेटा मस्ट बी लिंक टू GTS बेंचमार्क पे है। फाइनल अलाइनमेंट यार्ड लेआउट मस्ट इंश्योर कंप्लायंस विद किससे हैं लेटेस्ट IR SOD 2004। दिस साइट कंप्राइजेज क्या है ओनली परमानेंट वर्क एरिया, ठीक। व्हिच एरिया इंक्लूड साइट प्लस टेम्पोररी वर्क। व्हाट मिनिमम परसेंटेज ऑफ लैंड विद इन ROW इज ऑलरेडी विद अथॉरिटी 95%। हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर कटिंग ट्रीज गर्थ ग्रेटर देन 300 कॉन्ट्रैक्टर। इंक्रोचमेंट प्रिवेंशन ऑन हैंडेड ओवर लैंड इज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है कॉन्ट्रैक्टर। अनचार्टेड यूटिलिटी डाइवर्जन पर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी पार्ट के तहत EPC एग्रीमेंट में शेड्यूल्स हो गया। टेम्पोररी बेंचमार्क स्पेसिंग क्या 5 किलोमीटर के लिए है। Which equipment ensure horizontal control accuracy? Static DGPS plus 1 shuttle system। The vertical control section is primarily checked against GTS benchmark। Maximum traverse length for closure in horizontal body का 5 किलोमीटर में। Loop closure error limit for leveling ये क्या है तुमको 12 to 20 km। Field trial embankment is carried out to determine thickness solar pass and equipment, ठीक। Contractor must submit field trial embankment plan for how many days? 28 days। Maximum design speed for permanent हो गया 160 kmph। ऑपरेशन 130 है। ऑल ब्रिज इन्फॉर्मेशन डिजाइन फॉर एक्चुअल लोड कितना 25 टन है। रिलीज मटेरियल आफ्टर डिसमेंटलिंग प्रॉपर्टी किसका अथॉरिटी का है। हु इज फुली रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द सेफ्टी ऑफ ट्रेन रनिंग ऑन एग्जिस्टिंग ट्रैक ड्यूरिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क ये का कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर। यूटिलिटी सेफ्टी डाइवर्जेंस प्लान्स मस्ट इंक्लूड क्या लोकेशन साइज नेचर मेथड एंड टाइम। इफ अननोन यूटिलिटीज आर डिस्कवर्ड ड्यूरिंग वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्टर मस्ट क्या होगा तो इमीडिएटली इन्फॉर्म अथॉरिटी। बिफोर अर्थवर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्टर मस्ट वेरीफाई एंड रिवैलिडेट क्या ऑल साइट रिलेटेड लाइक टोपो साइट ये हो गया। विथ कॉन्ट्रैक्टर क्लेम विथ लैक फॉर लॉक ऑफ साइट कंडीशन बी कंसिडर्ड नो नेवर। क्रॉस सेक्शन ऑफ फॉर्मेशन मस्ट बी सबमिटेड व्हाट इन 20 मीटर what is which is not a component of rail track or painting of steel member whose feature is included in rock cutting area all of them berm catch is a safety refuge clause 1.3.8.3 ये rock cutting ये हो गया all excavated material from site is deemed to be property of authority proposal of surplus bentonite waste debris is responsibility of contractor earthworks follow which RDSO specification IRS 104 when stable slope can be provided which structure is used retaining wall या minimum embankment height must be कितना 1.0 होना चाहिए must be embankment height 1.0 with a design for flood recurrence of 1 in 100 1 in 50 minimum thickness of M25 varying course on ballasted bridge the reinforcement steel must conform to IS 1786 loading test of a bridge girder slab shall be ये है क्या IS हो गया RCC box substructure for minor bridge permitted up to span of 3 meter track on main line will be laid with 60 kg rail on 60 kg PSC slipper with 350 meter ballast can conform to ये क्या होगा तुमको IRS GE1 curve transition must be designed for speed producing 130 kmph which type of switch can be provided in a yard या हो गया thick हो गया अभी देखो the initial loose thickness of book 200 mm during picking ballast from the stack and lifting with not allowed at content for many mainline linking the type of rail to be used class 1 hammer weight to drive ERC ये होगा 1.9 से 2.0 level peg for vertical curve must be placed 10 meter center line pegs spacing on straight line 30 meter per initial packing should make a track fit for a speed of 20 kmph मैक्सिमम स्पीड स्लीपर टू स्लीपर कितना 2 mm होना चाहिए वेल्डिंग ऑफ रेल जॉइंट्स टू कवर इनटू LWR CWR शुड मेनली बी फ्लैश बट वेल्ड द मैक्सिमम डिफेक्टिव वेल्ड अलाउड इन इनिशियल टेस्टिंग 2% ERC एंड MS लाइनर शुड बी ग्रेडेड विथ क्या IS 408 दिस टेस्टिंग ऑफ LWR शुड बी डन यूजिंग क्या होगा हाइड्रोलिक रेल टेंशन minimum at LC minimum fencing length to be provided is 10 centimeter width of road at listed level cross 5 meter minimum width of platform at Jalibera station क्या 6 meter at Mudhol subway of size कितना 1:4 zone अब ये तो number of drinking water at कितना होगा 16 होना चाहिए how many sitting arrangement provided 24 होना चाहिए how many fans are specified 4 number होना चाहिए how many clocks are required from 1 number essential amenities RB this 200 this surface finish of passenger platform Jalibera should use क्या होता है interlocking precast cement concrete paper block ठीक है paper block interlocking precast अब देखो for covered passenger platform shelter at flooring must be कितना 25 meters what is the ramp slope ratio 1:12 the with what thickness paper block required for 3 meter 120 which railway board govern the maintenance facility what minimum plinth area 900 mm from NGR 600 mm from every ceiling height of station building and service should be 3.6 meter what is the minimum turn diameter 100 mm minimum self-cleaning velocity yoga 0.75 meter per second what is the maximum velocity of flow 2.4 meter per second at Mudhol how many deep hole models proposed 2 होना चाहिए special GLR groundable reservoir at Mudhol ये क्या होता है तुमको 25 level हो गया overhead tank कितना 500 polyethylene tank what is the minimum diameter of vent pipe 80 mm minimum velocity of flow per meter 0.61 what is barrel length of subway at Mudhol यह जो तुमको 23.052